Hello, my name is Nia Carolina Peña Páez, tecnólogo in International Negotiation, Evidencia Sits, Video Steps to Sport, Table of Contents, Introduction and summary of the topic. Will be talking about nets. Step to Sport. In this section, we will describe the most relevant steps to sport in Colombia. Conclusion, here are some of the aspects that must be taken into account when understanding a plan serving exporter. The introduction. Local companies often start exporting is in response to a business opportunity. However, when trying to take advantage of it, they face challenges and recommend that they do not know how to face because they are not prepared. For this reason, we as international negotiation must be willing and have clear knowledge about how to carry out an export plan. Within the steps to export, it is necessary to check if the company is ready to export, identify markets with opportunity, know the needs of the client and of their specialized service are some of the aspects that must be taken into account when understanding a plan server export. A step to carry out an export process. Company creation. To company a certain products and service, you must have one. You should create a company or at all have one. Therefore, it is essential that you establish yourself a company and duly registered with the Chamber of Commerce to legitimize their activity and exportation process. 2. Evaluate if your company is ready to export. Your company should have prepared an international marketing plan with defined strategy and goals. Malls have sufficient production capacity to serve the export market. Must have sufficient finite resources to actively support the marketing of its service in the export market. The management of the company must be committed to the development of the export market and capacity to commit personnel, time and resources to the process. 3. Set clear objectives. Understanding needs of the client. Now when the market preference and reach precisely the final client. Market study. Studies allow the company to identify how competitive it can become with its product service in certain markets. It's also interesting to study the competition and investigate the sector in which they are working and want to export. Within of alliance are essentially in this area. Colombia has an advantage, so you need to review possible alliances and agreement between countries. Identify opportunities. One of the first steps of the export process is to identify in which market there are opportunities for the products that is to be commercialized, and for this is necessary to set specific objectives. objects. 4. Identify the applicable regulation in the country of destination of your export. Review the tax treatment that be given to your service in the destination country of the export. For cross-border trade, into account the regulation on withholding tax on the provision of service. Regarding the use of the physical presence of people keep in mind the applicable regulation, licenses, registration, and authorization to provide the service. In addition, immigration regulation, visas, and entry permits. 5. Special regimes. Identify if your economic activity can apply to any of the special regimes provided by the government promoted foreign trade in the service. Documents. Export documents, commercial invoice, transport document, bill of loading, airway bill of letter of carriage. Packing lists, approved if applicable. Certificate of origin is required. Export declaration, export license. Request for goods with the full mind of this requirement has to do fundamentally with the protection of human and animal health, as it certifies the safety and health standards of the production for use or consumption. Export process. Production process. The export producer begins as soon as the production process is carried out at the exported factory. After this, the respective packaging is carried out for the correct handling and mobilization of merchandise, depending on the quantity required to satisfy the imported order. 8. Internal transport process. Once the production process is complete, the merchandise is transported from the factory to the maritime terminal, international airport, or land border primary source. Important. Incoterms. This contract will include one to the international standards. Incoterms, which stipulate costs and risks. These are of two types: multimodal, EXW, FCA, CPT, CIP, DAT, DAP, and DDP. Maritime FIAS, FOB, CFR, CIF. Forms of payment and ransom currency. It is necessary to previously agree with your contemporary about the means of paying to use. Tariff classification. This is was determining how to classify the products to be exported. The digits that classification present identify in these first 6 digits. The tariff subheading, they also identify the merchants or product in any country. The conclusion. We can conclude that the action of carrying out an export entirely requires an orientation to determine the most basic aspects that is entails so in the future it can be clear that is an sport and the action that are carried out at each stage from when a merchant is producing until that leaves the national territory. It is also important to take into account the sport regimens and use them depending on needs of each sport. Thank you very much.